Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is about to eat their first meal of the day at noon, convinced they are hacking their biology. And somewhere else, a scientist is looking at a massive new 2026 review that just quietly said something most influencers do not want you to hear. What if the thing you have been told will fix your metabolism, extend your life, and melt fat while you sleep is not exactly a lie, but it is not exactly the truth either? Stick with me, because by the end of this video you will know exactly what intermittent fasting can do for your body, what it cannot, and which version of it might actually be worth your time in 2026. Quick ask. Before we get into it, if this kind of honest, no-hype health breakdown is useful to you, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which fasting method you have tried or want to try. It genuinely helps this video reach more people who need it. Okay, let's get into the real story. What intermittent fasting actually is. Intermittent fasting is not one thing. That is the first myth to clear up. People throw the term around like it is a single diet, but it is really a family of eating patterns that all share one idea. You compress the hours you eat into a smaller window, or you eat much less on certain days. The most popular version is called 16-8. You fast for 16 hours, usually overnight and into the late morning, and you eat all your food within an 8-hour window, say between noon and 8 in the evening. Then there is 5-2, where you eat normally 5 days a week and drastically cut calories, sometimes to around 500 or 600, on 2 non-consecutive days. There are more extreme versions too, alternate day fasting, and even 24-hour fasts once or twice a week. But 16-8 and 5-2 are the ones most people actually try, because they fit into a normal life. Here is the part that surprises people. Fasting itself is ancient. Humans did not always have 3 meals and 2 snacks a day. That pattern is barely a century old. For most of human history, food was inconsistent, and our bodies adapted to handle periods without it. So when someone tells you fasting is unnatural, history quietly disagrees. But ancient does not automatically mean beneficial in the specific way modern marketing claims. And that is where things get interesting. The body on a fast. Let's actually walk through what happens inside you during a fasting window, because this is where the sensory part gets real. In the first few hours after your last meal, your body is still running on the glucose from that food. Around 12 hours in, your liver starts depleting its stored sugar, called glycogen. Somewhere between 12 and 18 hours, depending on the person, your body starts shifting toward burning fat for fuel, producing molecules called ketones. This is the metabolic switch that fasting fans talk about constantly. You might feel it as a strange kind of mental clarity, almost a lightness, sometimes mixed with a hunger pang that rises and then unexpectedly fades. That fading hunger surprises a lot of first-time fasters. Your stomach growls, you brace for it to get worse, and then it plateaus. That is a real physiological pattern, not just willpower. There is also a fascinating angle from brain research. A study published in early 2026 looked at intermittent fasting in adults with obesity and found something beyond simple weight loss. Researchers observed changes not just in metabolic markers, but in gut bacteria and brain signaling working together, suggesting fasting may influence appetite regulation through a gut-brain connection, not just calorie math. That is a real and fairly new area of science, and it is genuinely exciting. But notice what it does not say. It does not say fasting is magic. It says there is a biological mechanism worth studying further. This is the tension you need to hold onto for the rest of this video. Real mechanisms, real effects, but often smaller and more complicated than the headlines suggest. The weight loss question. Now here is where I have to be honest with you, because this is the part most fasting content will not tell you clearly. In 2026, Cochrane, one of the most respected independent research bodies in medicine, published a major review. They analyzed 22 randomized controlled trials involving nearly 2,000 adults with overweight or obesity across North America, Europe, China, Australia, and South America. The question was simple. Does intermittent fasting produce meaningfully better weight loss than standard dietary advice, or no intervention at all? The answer was not what the fasting industry wanted. The review found intermittent fasting did not produce a clinically meaningful difference in weight loss compared to conventional advice. In plain terms, fasting schedules did not outperform simply eating a sensible, calorie-appropriate diet. Let that sink in for a second. Not that fasting fails, that it ties. But here is where it gets more nuanced and more human. A separate 2026 study out of the University of Adelaide compared intermittent fasting combined with time-restricted eating against standard calorie restriction. Weight loss was similar between the groups, but the researchers looked deeper at mood, sleep, eating behavior, and quality of life. And they found something calorie-counting studies rarely measure. Fasting felt easier for many people. Less mental friction, less constant tracking, less of that exhausting feeling of monitoring every bite. So the honest picture is this. Intermittent fasting is not a metabolic shortcut that burns fat faster than other methods. It is, for many people, an easier way to arrive at the same calorie deficit that any weight loss method requires. If restricting your eating window naturally makes you eat less without obsessively counting, that is the real mechanism. Not magic, behavior. And that reframe matters because it tells you something important. If counting calories works better for you personally, intermittent fasting will not outperform it. If you hate counting and thrive on structure instead, fasting might be your sustainable path. Neither is superior. It depends on you, the longevity claim and the study that shook everyone. Now let's talk about the claim that gets the most attention and the most controversy. Longevity. The idea that fasting extends lifespan comes largely from animal studies, mice living longer on caloric restriction and fasting protocols, and from theories around cellular repair processes like autophagy, where your cells clean out damaged components during periods without food. That science is real at the cellular level. But translating mouse longevity data directly to humans is a leap researchers are still cautious about. Then, a study made headlines that intermittent fasting communities still argue about today. Researchers presented data at a major American Heart Association conference analyzing over 20,000 adults, using National Health Survey data followed for close to 8 years. Their finding, people who ate within an 8-hour window had a 91% higher risk of cardiovascular death compared to those eating across 12 to 16 hours. 91%. That number spread everywhere. Headlines everywhere. Panic in comment sections everywhere. But here is the part that got buried under the panic. This was an observational study, not a randomized trial. It relied on people remembering what they ate over just 2 days. Then researchers extrapolated that snapshot across years of behavior. Independent experts pointed out a serious flaw. Smoking rates were notably higher in the short eating window group, and smoking is one of the strongest known predictors of cardiovascular death. If that is not properly accounted for, it can create a false impression that fasting itself is dangerous, when something else entirely is driving the risk. The researchers themselves were careful in their language. They said their findings needed replication and did not prove causation. But nuance rarely survives a viral headline. The honest takeaway is this: we do not have strong human evidence that intermittent fasting extends life, and we also do not have strong evidence that it dramatically shortens it for healthy people. What we have is an association that needs more rigorous research, sitting right next to genuinely promising cellular biology. Both things can be true. Uncertainty is not the same as danger, where intermittent fasting might genuinely help. Let's balance the picture, because this is not a takedown video. There are places where the research is more encouraging. A 2026 study from the University of Granada followed people for a full year after a 12-week intermittent fasting program. Those who had used an 8-hour eating window kept off more weight over that following year compared to those using a wider 12-hour window. That suggests fasting might help with something dieting often fails at: not just losing weight but keeping it off. There is also solid research on time-restricted eating improving blood sugar control, blood pressure, and cholesterol markers in people with conditions like type 2 diabetes, sometimes performing comparably to more traditional structured diets. For some people managing metabolic conditions, the simplicity of an eating window can be genuinely useful alongside medical guidance. Success stories and what they actually prove. You have probably seen the transformation stories. Someone drops 20, 30, sometimes 50 pounds following 16-8 religiously. Those stories are usually true. But here is the quiet detail those stories rarely mention: the person almost always changed what they ate too, not just when. Fewer processed snacks late at night, more intentional meals, less mindless grazing. The eating window did not cause the fat loss on its own. It created a structure that made better choices easier to stick to. That is not a small thing. Structure changing behavior is powerful. It is just not the same story as fasting having some unique metabolic superpower. The honest verdict. So where does that leave us in 2026? Intermittent fasting is a legitimate, well-studied eating pattern that can help many people reach a calorie deficit with less daily friction, and it may help some people maintain weight loss longer than other methods. The longevity claims are biologically plausible but not proven in humans, and the scary cardiovascular headline is far weaker evidence than it appeared to be. This is general health information, not personal medical advice, and if you have an existing health condition, are pregnant, or take medication tied to meal timing, talk to a doctor before changing how or when you eat. The real answer nobody wants to hear because it is not exciting enough. The best eating pattern is the one that lets you eat a reasonable number of calories from real food, consistently for years without misery. For some people that is 16-8. For others it is 3 balanced meals. The science does not crown one winner. It hands the decision back to you and to what you can actually sustain. If this cut through some of the noise for you, subscribe because we are going to keep pulling apart health trends like this one, the ones everyone talks about but almost nobody actually explains properly. I will see you in the next one.